Imagine a king so obsessed with his legacy that he tore his country apart to secure it. A dynasty born from conquest, nearly destroyed by its own bloodline. The Tudor succession crisis wasn't just about who wore the crown and whether England would survive its rulers' ambitions. If you love stories of royal intrigue, power struggles, and the fate of nations, you're in the right place. I'm Professor Henry Ashford, your guide through Britain's royal and political past. Here at Digging Deep Histories, we blend meticulous human research with modern digital storytelling to bring the intrigues of monarchy and power to life. Today, we're digging deep into the Tudor succession crisis, which involved how a dynasty held the crown against all odds. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Every week, we uncover the hidden turning points of history that shaped Britain and the world. Setting the stage. The Tudor story begins in 1485 with Henry VII, who claimed the throne by right of conquest after defeating Richard III at Bosworth Field. He married Elizabeth of York, uniting the warring houses of Lancaster and York and symbolically ending the Wars of the Roses. But beneath that unity lay fragility. The Tudors were new rulers in a kingdom still scarred by decades of civil war. Their legitimacy was questioned, their claim not ancient but recent, and their dynasty untested. Henry VII understood one thing clearly. The future of his house depended on producing heirs. That obsession with succession would become the defining anxiety of the Tudor era. The heir and the spare. Henry VII's eldest son, Arthur, was the perfect heir, intelligent, pious, and politically vital through his marriage to Catherine of Aragon, daughter of Spain's Ferdinand and Isabella. But in 1502, tragedy struck. Arthur died suddenly, leaving his younger brother Henry, who was just 10 years old, as the heir apparent. When Henry became king in 1509, he inherited a throne and the weight of his father's anxieties. He married his brother's widow, Catherine, hoping to cement the Spanish alliance and to produce the male heir his father had once feared losing. At first, the future looked secure, but history, as always, had other plans. If you find this fascinating already, tap like. It really helps us bring you more history like this. Henry VIII's desperation, Catherine gave birth to 6 children, yet only one survived, Princess Mary. For a king obsessed with legacy, this was intolerable. Henry began to question his marriage and, conveniently, his conscience. He claimed their union had been cursed because she was once his brother's wife, a theological pretext concealing a political crisis. When the Pope refused to annul the marriage, Henry made a decision that would shatter Christendom. He broke from Rome. In 1534, he declared himself supreme head of the Church of England. It was both a religious revolution and an act of dynastic self-preservation. From that moment, succession was no longer merely a family affair. It was national policy. The Catherine Anne conflict. Anne Boleyn promised Henry VIII what he craved most, a son, but she gave birth to another daughter, Elizabeth. Henry's fury was swift. Anne was accused of adultery and treason, charges almost certainly fabricated. In 1536, she was executed, her fall echoing through the corridors of power. Within days, Henry married Jane Seymour, his third wife. At last, she bore him the long-awaited son, Edward. Yet Jane died soon after childbirth. The crisis seemed resolved at last with a male heir, but fate had one final twist. Edward VI would live to rule only briefly, plunging England into fresh turmoil. If you're just joining us, leave a comment below. Which Tudor do you think made the most fateful decision? Edward VI and the 9-Day Queen. Edward VI was only 9 when he inherited the throne in 1547. His reign was dominated by regent men who wielded power in his name while pushing radical Protestant reforms. But Edward's health was fragile. Fearing his half-sister Mary, a devout Catholic, would undo his reforms, he tried to alter the line of succession. He named Lady Jane Grey, his Protestant cousin, as his heir. When Edward died in 1553, Jane was proclaimed queen. For 9 days, Mary Tudor, backed by the people and the nobility, seized the throne. Jane Grey was executed, a pawn sacrificed to the game of dynastic survival. The Tudor crown was secure once more, but now it was in the hands of a queen determined to restore the old faith. Mary IV's reign of fear. Queen Mary's rule was defined by her attempt to reverse the Reformation. She married Philip of Spain, reigniting fears that England might become a Spanish satellite. Her persecution of Protestants earned her the grim title Bloody Mary. But the true tragedy was personal. She desperately tried to conceive an heir, enduring false pregnancies and mounting despair. When she died childless in 1558, the Tudor line again teetered on extinction. Her half-sister Elizabeth was next in line. The kingdom held its breath. Would the Tudors finally find stability or collapse into chaos? If you're enjoying this story so far, subscribe to the channel. Every week, we vividly bring the turning points of British history to life. Elizabeth I and the Last Tudor Gamble. Elizabeth I inherited a divided realm. Catholic versus Protestant, peace versus rebellion, legitimacy versus doubt. Many questioned her right to rule. She was, after all, the daughter of Anne Boleyn, whom many still branded a traitor. Elizabeth's solution was political brilliance wrapped in caution. She refused to marry, balancing suitors and nations like pieces on a chessboard. Each alliance offered protection and risk. Her reign brought relative peace, cultural flourishing, and the defeat of the Spanish Armada. But there remained one haunting question: who would succeed her? She never named an heir, and when she died in 1603, the Tudor dynasty ended. Yet its survival for over a century through wars, reformations, and betrayals was nothing short of miraculous. The legacy and closing reflections. The Tudor succession crisis wasn't one event. It was a century-long struggle for stability. It shaped England's monarchy, its church, and its very identity. Henry VIII's break with Rome changed Europe forever. Mary's persecutions deepened the divide between Catholic and Protestant. Elizabeth's diplomacy defined the balance of power that would last for generations. The dream of dynastic continuity finally returned when the crown passed peacefully to James VI of Scotland, becoming James I of England. But it came at the price of the Tudor name. History often remembers the Tudors for their excesses, wives, wars, and wealth. But their true legacy lies in survival, a dynasty born in battle, tested by faith, and held together by sheer political will. Which Tudor do you think paid the highest price to keep the crown? Until next time, I'm Professor Henry Ashford, and this has been Digging Deep Histories. If you've enjoyed uncovering Britain's royal and political past, please like the video, subscribe for more, and continue exploring history's enduring power with us.